Hi, I'm Michaela, and I've been volunteering here at Trot for about a year. I've always worked with the special needs kids at my school, and it's something that I love to do. So when I heard about Trot, I thought it would be definitely a fulfilling volunteer experience and something that I really enjoy. But it's really like a win-win situation because you all also leave feeling much better because you took time out of your day to just put yourself out there to help someone else, and it's a really rewarding experience. When I first started volunteering at Trot, I did have some horse experience just because I tagged along with my sister to her horse lessons, but nothing really like profound horse experience, and I was still kind of intimidated by horses, but I still decided I would want to volunteer as a sidewalker, and you don't need horse experience at all to be a sidewalker or even a horse handler because you will get training, and the more you come out and you are with the horses, you get a lot more comfortable with it. So even if you are not unsure if you're comfortable around horses, or you get used to it.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Miles, and I am a Trot volunteer. I've been volunteering here for about 2.5 years as a sidewalker and horse handler. So to be a volunteer at Trot, you need to be 14 years of age or older, 16 years of age or older if you want to be a horse handler, but many young students in high school who are younger than 16 love to come out to be sidewalkers to still get this. Not just for the volunteer hours, but also because it is such an incredible experience that you won't find at any other volunteering opportunity. Trot is a non-government funded organization, and they rely on hundreds of volunteers all year round to keep the program running and to keep being able to offer this program to all their riders and all their students, which is why it is so important that they always are getting new volunteers and offering training for the new volunteers. There are always new riders applying to become a part of Trot, so there's constantly a need for new volunteers, because the more volunteers that we have means the more riders that we can accept into the program, because it is such a volunteer intensive program that requires a lot of help, especially depending on if the rider's disabilities are more severe. There are a lot of benefits to therapeutic horseback riding, especially for students that can't walk or are in a wheelchair or confined to using a walker most of the time, because the motion of a horse's hind of their hips is a lot like that of a human when a horse is walking at a good active pace. So by sitting on the horse and feeling the movement of their walking and having your hips and muscles worked and moved in the same ways, it's giving the rider's body the movement as though they were walking, which is really good because it gets their muscles moving in a way that they can't do on their own. Also, something that makes this therapy a lot different from other therapies is that the riders are able to experience working with animals and having a bond with the animals, which is actually a really good positive thing for a lot of riders and a positive force in their life, because it creates a bond and a relationship that they aren't able to access in many other kinds of therapy, just working with doctors or physiotherapists or whatever else they might have. The therapy is also a really great way for them to train so many different kinds of skills, as I said before, from verbal skills to communication to hand-eye coordination to physical skills, and then also just things like learning the alphabet and counting and colors and left and right and all sorts of different things that can be really difficult especially for younger students with certain mental disabilities. This is a really positive learning outlet for them.
So when we first get to Trot, we check the notice board and we check what group of people we're working with, what rider we're working with, and what horse we're working with. And usually the horse handlers will go and do a little warm-up routine in the stall with the horses, just to get them stretched out. And then they go out to the cross ties in the hallway. And the sidewalkers, in the meantime, go to the tack room where we get all the tack that's needed for the lesson. Each horse has their own tack, saddle and a bridle, but the tack that we use in the lesson is based upon the rider's capabilities and any accommodations they need. We have a large variety of reins that we use depending on how capable the riders are to hold things or how they feel more comfortable when riding. So we have pom-pom reins, which they have a ball that they can grip onto to hold. That is a lot easier for some riders to hold onto something that's bigger and they can squeeze instead of having just a thinner basic rein to hold onto. And we also have ladder reins, which is that makes it easier for them to hold on something that's more firm. So for each saddle, a pommel strap is required. It is just a strap that we attach to the front of the saddle to provide the rider with somewhere to hold onto. That is required for trotting because it's really useful to have your hands somewhere to hold onto. And we also use cozy toes. That's not required for all riders, but a lot of them we do use this for because cozy toes keep the rider's foot in the stirrup so they don't slide forward. Because some riders don't have proper boots or they don't have the ability to push their heel down to make sure their foot stays in the stirrup. So we put cozy toes on. So while the sidewalker is getting tacked, the horse handlers begin grooming. Grooming is very important to keep the horses clean and also gives us the opportunity to check their whole body to make sure there's nothing wrong with them, if there's any scratches or anything that we need to have checked out. So first we start with the hooves and we use a hoof pick to clean out the bottom of the horse's foot. That is to make sure there is no rocks or anything that could be poking them throughout the lesson and bothering them. So after all 4 hooves are done, we do the curry comb. The curry comb is a firm circular rubber brush that we use in circular motions on the horse's whole body, except for their legs and face. This helps to loosen up any dust or fur or dirt, hay in their fur, and then we go over it with the dandy brush in firm flicking motions to help flick away all that dirt and dust, and then we go over it with a body brush, which helps just spread all the oils and keep the coat nice and even. So after the horses are all groomed, we start by tacking up. So we start with getting the saddle on, and first we put down an anti-slip pad to make sure the saddle stays in place. Over top of that, we put the saddle pad, which keeps the horse's back comfortable when the saddle goes on. And then the saddle goes on, and after the saddle is positioned, we start with the girth, and we just tighten it on both sides until it's nice and tight. It's really important for the girth to be tight because this helps make sure the saddle doesn't slip throughout the lesson and put the rider off balance. And after the girth is on, we adjust the stirrups, and then we put on our pommel strap and the cozy toes, and that's pretty much it for the saddle.
So once we're all done tacking up, the horse handlers will start by bringing all the horses into the arena, and the sidewalkers will come in and wait by the door to the exercise room. So it's the horse handler's responsibility, once we get all the horses into the arena, to start with the little warm-up that we do, which is just to get the horses listening and respecting the horse handler and get their muscles all warmed up so that they are ready to start the lesson. So the horses get all lined up on the center line, and then the instructor will start by bringing in the riders one by one to begin the mounting process. And when we mount, the horse handler has to bring the horse up into beside the ramp and get them as close as they can to the ramp, and then halt at the appropriate distance from the side of the ramp and between where the instructor is standing up on the ramp and where the sidewalker, if the rider needs one, will be standing on the little step block beside it. And the horse handler is responsible for keeping the horse completely still and keeping their head low if possible while the instructor is getting the rider mounted onto the horse. Once all the riders are mounted, it'll be anywhere from 1 to 4 riders in a class. Once they're all mounted, that is when the actual lesson begins. The skill level of the riders does decide what sorts of things that we do in the lessons. For riders that are working on mental development and learning their colors, left and right, directions, and learning to use their verbal skills, it's usually a lesson will have more games and puzzles and throwing games to work on their coordination, hand-eye coordination, or steering ability by learning their left and rights by learning which way to turn the horse in pole courses. And then some riders are more advanced and they'll be working on dressage tests and different sorts of pole courses and things that work on developing fine motor skills and different, more specific skills to actual horseback riding.
So coming up to trot is a very positive experience. Everyone here, the instructors and all the volunteers, are super happy to be here, and it's a really good team to work with. You do a lot of teamwork and you're all working together, and everyone's super nice and you make a lot of friends, so it's a lot of positivity and really fun to come out and volunteer.
The reason I first started volunteering here was, of course, partially because I love horses and children, but also because I had to get my high school volunteer hours. But now I have more than double the required amount of hours, and I intend to keep volunteering here for as long as possible because it is just such a wonderful thing to do.